Hey guys, this one is just to diversify the contents. Today I am going to show you one point where the DCEU is better than the MCU. So Marvel Cinematic Universe or the MCU started with 2008's Iron Man, still unbeatable with its Rotten Tomatoes score of 94 till 2017. Those who have seen and walked this journey can surely feel it. That is, the goosebumps. The total universe has been made so perfectly and everything is so well packed, couldn't be better. On the other hand, the Detective Comics Extended Universe or the DCEU, rather inspired by Marvel, started its journey in 2015. With the visually stunning Man of Steel, though still uncertain of any universe. Rushing things to catch up with Marvel, adding Batman in 1 year of the journey to knock down Civil War, which has been done after 8 years, too much fantasy cutting movies are just a few of the long list of mistakes. But there is this one place where 3 years of work actually surpassed 1 decade, that is the fact of solo movies. Marvel, along with their assembled movies, have made 3 big trilogies: Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man and more coming. But these solo movies, if noticed, has some quite logical plot holes. That is, in one hero's movie, where is the rest of the team? These all are under one cinematic universe, so the other heroes obviously exist. So when the villains wreak chaos in one superhero's movie, everybody else is sleeping? We can say in the defense that if every superhero exists in every other's movie, there will be multiple Avengers movie every year. So Infinity War would be Avengers 19. It can also be said that some villains are too small for all of the Avengers to assemble. Also, the Avengers weren't supposed to know what was happening in PIM Industries. And even normal people didn't know the whole New York was shifting, let alone the Avengers, and quite the same goes for Spider-Man Homecoming too. But what about the trilogies of the big 3? Captain America was in World War II. Iron Man 1 was at a time when the Avengers weren't formed. Same goes for the Hulk, and Iron Man 2 had a much more small villain, Whiplash. And the fact that Asgard and aliens exist were not known to the people of Earth, so check Thor 1. But Hulk proved space is easily accessible through an Avengers Quinjet, so some astronauts should have found out about aliens. Well, Civil War had all the superheroes as they were bound to be, except for Thor and Banner who were facing Ragnarok at that time. So what remains is the Winter Soldier and Thor, the Dark World. Thor 2 had a much more powerful villain, Malekith, who fought Thor here on Earth, uprooting everything, and he was about to destroy the freaking 9 realms. The question is, where were the Avengers then? Aren't they supposed to assemble for such big cosmic threats? And Marvel has a tendency to use sidekick heroes like Tony had Rhodey, Captain America had Falcon, and even Spider-Man had Iron Man as his mentor, Lucky Kid. Well, time for a little joke. Remember him from Spider-Man trilogy? Well, let alone the Avengers, the sidekick Avengers, Thor's Warrior 4 were even present at the time of Thor 2, so Thor the Dark World not sure. The Winter Soldier had Falcon and Black Widow, quite enough to fight against the Winter Soldier. But when 3 ships that could have destroyed everything good were crashing the nation's capital, where were the Avengers? At least Iron Man could have come from New York to DC, he has a flight speed of 700 mph. But though he was in Homecoming for a moderate time, many refer it as an Iron Man film. Same could have happened for the Winter Soldier. In the beginning of Civil War, Secretary Ross states the events of Winter Soldier equally big as that of Loki or Ultron. That is, the Avengers should have assembled here because it is the same level of threat. So, the Winter Soldier, not check. And about the fact that I said some villains are too small for the Avengers to assemble? Well, that doesn't entirely mean that they cannot assemble for a smaller threat. In the beginning of Civil War, we see the heroes of Captain America 2 plus Scarlet Witch fight against Rambo. That refers to the fact that they are now quite regular superheroes. Well, that's a nice ad for Nestle Milo. So, there is argument for the fact that they could have assembled when the Whiplash was whiplashing Iron Man. Well, in that case we can say Marvel Studios is not the perfect movieverse. Well, none is, but at least in this case the DCEU is ahead. In Man of Steel time when Zod was threatening the world, no other superheroes were present, only Superman. And Batman was there, who was busy saving his employees. And he couldn't come in broad daylight like Adam West did. And Dawn of Justice was the movie for Batman's chance in the DCEU. And his encounters with Diana opened her eyes about fighting for justice as Wonder Woman. And thus, in Dawn of Justice, the trio assembled. And then comes Suicide Squad, when Superman was dead. And Diana, as her work was done, moved down to Paris. And Batman, handing the squad to Waller, caused him not to think about his villains. And thus, he could now finally focus on the formation of Justice League. Besides, he is all about preparation time. What could he have done in a few hours to stop Enchantress? Wonder Woman 2 couldn't come down to stop, as the whole thing was not full even a night, and for such chaos, only Superman's words count, but he was dead. Wonder Woman solo movie was in World War 1. No other hero's parents were even born then. Only Superman was luring in space in his spaceship coming from Krypton to Earth. Well, Justice League is the movie where the heroes finally become functional. New heroes started utilizing their powers. Bruce Wayne and Diana also assembled. Even dead Clark Kent survived to join them. So there are reasons that other heroes were not present in one hero's movie. And the upcoming Flashpoint will have them all, and Aquaman and Cyborg will be their origins, so in the past, so maintaining it. Let's see if they can manage this good point for a longer time. In that case, we can say Fox maintained it well too. All they had were X-Men movies. The heroes all were present. And Wolverine's movies were on a more distant and hard to find scale, so other heroes didn't know about him. But traveling this way from past, present, past, future makes the whole thing kind of confusing and complicated and leaves many plot holes. So, reboot it? No. Yeah, make all the origins at first and then come with the team movie. But that's how the MCU started, so it all comes down to this: MCU is the best universe one can actually do. Because we see fixing the problems of other universes, we ultimately get what Marvel did. Well, some of you may mock and say this is another good point, they cut movies well. Then I'd like to say Black Panther was initially 4 hours now, which came down to 2 hours 15 minutes, while Jail was 2 hours 50 minutes, which came down to 2 hours. Anything more to mock about? Well, speaking about Black Panther, have you noticed black people uses vibranium for worldly development, while white people having vibranium makes a frisbee out of it and gives it to just one guy. Well, fun fact, as per the MCU timeline, the events of Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk and Thor happen in the same week, that is in 1 week's time. Whiplash and Destroyer wreaked havoc, human comes to know about aliens and gamma radiated monsters. Well, that's about it then guys, goodbye. Please subscribe and stay tuned for my next videos.